Welcome. In a world that's just packed with endless choices, but, really limited resources, how do you find that single best path forward? Well, today, we're diving into something called operations research. It's pretty much the science of making the absolute best decisions, and we're going to show you exactly how it works. So picture this. You're launching a brand new product, or maybe you're trying to plan a massive supply chain, or you're managing a super complex project. You are facing a huge decision, and you really can't afford to get it wrong. The pressure is on, right? You have to find not just a good answer, but the perfect one. And it's never simple, is it? Of course not. You're juggling a tight budget, you've got these looming deadlines, and dozens of different variables are all flying around. Your resources are scarce, and oh yeah, you also have to guess what your competitors might do next. Sometimes making a choice just feels like taking a wild shot in the dark. But what if there was a way to replace all that guesswork with actual science? In this explainer, we're going to walk through the big decision dilemma, introduce you to the super powerful field of operations research, see how to actually model your problem, learn some strategies for when the future is a total mystery, and finally, find that optimal solution. Okay, let's start with that feeling we all know, the big decision dilemma. We've all been there, feeling totally overwhelmed by how complex and uncertain things can get. And it's this exact problem that operations research was literally designed to solve. So here it is, the hero of our story, operations research, or as most people call it, OR. It's a whole discipline that gives us a solid, data-driven, quantitative basis for our decisions. It's all about moving past those gut feelings and using a real scientific method to figure out the best way to design and operate pretty much any system. And the key idea here, the thing to really focus on, is the allocation of scarce resources. Because let's face it, whether it's time, money, or materials, we never have enough. OR uses scientific and mathematical tools to help managers make the right call when they just can't have it all. So, where do you start? Well, the very first step in any OR study is to create a model. You can think of it like an architect's blueprint. Before you build the actual skyscraper, you create a simplified version to understand how all the different pieces are going to fit together. A model is amazing because it strips away all the noise, all the irrelevant details, and it just focuses on what's absolutely essential. It's basically a set of math and logic rules that captures the core of your problem. This lets you analyze it, play with it, and ultimately solve it. And every R model is built with these three key ingredients. First up, you've got your decision variables. Think of these as the levers you can actually pull. Second is your objective function. This is your goal, what you're trying to achieve, written out as a math equation, like maximize profit. And third, you have your constraints. These are the rules of the game, the real-world limits you have to work within. Now, models come in a few different flavors. On one hand, you have analytical models. They use mathematical equations to find one single, provably correct answer. Think of it like calculating the perfect launch angle for a rocket. On the other hand, you have simulation models. These are more like a video game or a digital twin of your system. They run thousands of virtual experiments to see what might happen, like testing how a new store layout could affect how customers move around. Another big question is how your model treats time. Is your problem just a single snapshot, like trying to design the perfect factory layout once and for all? That's what we call a static model. Or does it evolve and change over time, like trying to manage your inventory levels day by day? That's a dynamic model, and it has to account for constant change. Okay, but even with the absolute best model, you're going to face a huge challenge. The real world is totally unpredictable. So how do we make a decision when we have no idea what the future holds? Or we can't even guess the probability of what might happen? Don't worry, OR has a framework for that too. It really all comes down to your mindset. When you're staring into the unknown, are you an optimist, focusing on the best that could possibly happen? Or are you more of a pessimist, a little more cautious, preparing for the worst? Your answer actually points to one of three classic strategies for making decisions in the dark. First up, we have the Maximax strategy. This one is perfect for the eternal optimist. You look at every possible choice you could make, you find the absolute best case scenario for each one, and then you just pick the option that offers the best of the best. This is a total high-risk, high-reward approach. Think of a startup going all in on a brand new market. On the flip side, you've got the Maximin strategy. This is the pessimist's choice, the cautious approach. Here, you basically assume the worst is going to happen no matter what. So for every option, you identify the worst possible outcome, and then you choose the one whose worst case is the least terrible. It's about securing the best possible outcome, even if everything goes wrong. And then there's this really fascinating third way, the Minimox regret strategy. This is for the kind of person who just hates thinking, what if? With this approach, you calculate how much you'd regret each choice if it turned out another path would have been better. Then you pick the option that minimizes your biggest possible regret. You're basically playing to avoid making the biggest mistake.
All right, so we've got our models, we have our strategies for dealing with uncertainty. Now, let's put it all together and see how this actually solves a real-world problem and gives us a concrete optimal solution. It's time to go from model to action.
Let's talk about a classic, and believe me, incredibly common challenge for any company that makes and ships stuff. It's called the transportation problem. How do you get your products from a bunch of different factories to a bunch of different warehouses at the lowest possible cost? Using operations research, we can turn this messy problem into a solvable model. Step 1. Define our decision variables. That's how many units to ship on each possible route. Step 2. Our objective is simple. Minimize the total shipping cost. Step 3. We add our constraints. You can't ship more than what a factory makes, and each warehouse has to get what it ordered. And finally, step 4, we let an OR algorithm run and find the perfect plan. And the results? They aren't just theoretical. We're talking about huge, real-world savings. A 30% reduction in costs isn't just a small win. For a large company, that can translate to millions, even tens of millions of dollars saved every single year. That's the power of finding the optimal solution. It's not just about being smarter, it's about being more efficient and more profitable. And look, this is just one example. Operations research is like the hidden engine behind so much of our modern world. It's being used right now to schedule massive projects, to decide how to spend marketing budgets, to manage inventory, to minimize the time you spend waiting in line, and to make critical financial decisions. It's everywhere. I love this quote by Samuel Elan. Optimizing is the science of the ultimate. Satisficing is the art of the feasible. It just gets right to the heart of what OR is all about. It's the science of finding that absolute, mathematically perfect, ultimate solution, but it also recognizes reality. Sometimes the goal isn't perfection. It's about satisficing, finding a solution that is good enough, that's practical, and that's actually doable within all your constraints. So as we wrap up, I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Whether it's in your job or just in your personal life, what complex choice are you facing right now that could be a little bit clearer if you broke it down into variables, an objective, and a few constraints? What part of your world is just waiting to be optimized?